So I just got back from Mexico, and one of the things that I learned about myself there was that um, I really like the imperfection of that environment. And I say that environment because it could be found really anywhere around the world. It just so happens that I go to Mexico every January for men's retreats and that sort of thing. So I was on the phone with a man, and he asked me, I said, I love it here. And he said, what do you love about it? Which is the quintessential coaching question. What does that mean to you? Tell me more about that. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, I love that things aren't perfect here. I love that the paint is faded. I love that the corners are chipped. I love that the sidewalks are uneven. I love that there aren't guide like railing for everything and signs everywhere, and this whole like trying to protect you from yourself, that that it is possible to trip and fall. It is possible to experience life. And I recognize that my perfectionist brain, and I'll tell you about that in just a second, my perfectionist brain actually is able to let go in an environment like that. That when I'm chasing the perfect camera, the perfect microphone, the perfect lighting, the perfect accessory for my equipment, I lose sight of creativity, of joy, of fun, of play, of just being okay as I am. And I think that's a lot of life these days, is trying to be perfect, trying to have the perfect, whatever it is, car, house, job, relationship, whatever it is, we're trying to shoot for perfect and judging ourselves so incredibly harshly along the way. We may find ourselves projecting that out to others and judging them, but what we're really doing is saying, if I'm so willing to judge you, it's only because I've judged myself so harshly first. And we'll turn that inward on ourselves, and our inner critic will flare up when we try to do something different, when we try to do something new, when we try to grow. And so I told you I'd tell you about the perfectionist brain. I took a personality test that came back and said, you're a perfectionist. And I was like, I'm not sure that I like that. I'm not completely mad about it, but also at the same time, it's a label that I wasn't willing to just readily accept. So I took the test again, this time answering the questions slightly different, looking at the questions and reconsidering my answers. And the second result came back that I was a perfectionist. And I was like, okay. So then I went to a third website, a whole separate website. And this time I just answered the questions almost erratically. Right? If I had said something one way on the other time, I was going to say it differently this time. Complete opposite of myself, so to speak. And it came back and it said, you're a perfectionist. And I was like, And then I started laughing, because here I was getting the result that I was a perfectionist. And then I took the test 2 more times, a total of 3 times, to ensure that the results were accurate. Isn't that funny? My perfectionist brain, right? My brain that has been conditioned or whatever to look for that perfectionist. When I'm in an environment where things are not perfect and they're not expected to be perfect, and it would be too much to even try to make them perfect, that actually you can appreciate the imperfection itself. That's when my brain gets quiet. That's when the creativity comes out, the fun comes out. So, right now, what I'm doing in my space, in my world, is actually trying to remove perfectionism. Now, as I do that, I'm also mindful of this idea that I can try to find the perfect imperfect, that I can swing too far the other way, where I can remove so much from my life, from this idea of perfect, that it just becomes another version of crazy. I think in the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, Dr. Robert Glover says the opposite of crazy is still crazy. And that's where I'm at, trying to remove perfection, making sure that I don't let it hold me up, that I don't let it steal my joy. In fact, today I was writing in my journal that that perfect kills creativity, perfect kills fun, perfect kills joy. Perfect creates anxiety, suffering, it drains energy, it exhausts us, and it feels very unsafe. It feels very unsafe because if you can't find the perfect whatever, or create the perfect whatever, or be the perfect whatever, then that feels very unsafe because you're outside of what the expectation of what something should be. And perfection also separates us from ourselves first and from each other because we don't relate to perfect. We don't relate to perfect. You know, have you ever had somebody who was, you know, perfect in your life and you felt like you were on the outside of that, somehow you couldn't match up to them? Maybe it's somebody in the popular media that you look up to and you're thinking, oh, I can never be that person. That person could never be you because that person is busy being them, and we shouldn't want to be them. We should just allow ourselves to be us because we're perfect. We're perfect as we are already. Perfectly imperfect and okay just the way we are. So those are some of my thoughts about this idea of perfection. I just wanted to share with you my experience in Mexico and the insight that I got from doing a coaching call with a man. And quite honestly, every coaching call I walk away from, he's enriched, he has insights, but I also take something away from it myself. This is how we strengthen each other. This is how we grow. All right. Be good to yourself. I'll see you in the next one.